This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, and you're listening to Python's Paradise, your film and music show. And this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, we know October is just around the corner, but I decided for a change of pace, we're going to celebrate Black Christmas. Why? Because I'm different than everybody else, I guess. And I have somebody on the phone with me that wants to celebrate Black Christmas as well, because she wants to go against the trend as well. I have the lovely Canadian actress Lynne Griffin on the phone. How you doing, Lynne?
I'm doing just fine. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm talking to the wonderful, talented Lynne Griffin. I'm doing great. Couldn't ask for more than that.
Me neither.
Yeah. You know what? I've never been to Toronto before, but, I've never actually been outside New Brunswick, interestingly enough.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I don't get far, but I heard you guys have a nice zoo there.
We do have a nice zoo. We have a lot of cultural attractions, my God. A lot of really exciting theater, too, which I take part in now and then.
And you mentioned to me just prior to me hitting the record button, you've done theater here in Fredericton.
Yes, I have. I love Fredericton, and Theatre New Brunswick used to do a really interesting, they may still do it, a tour where they went all around, not maybe all around the province, but visited several different places with their shows. And if anybody's old enough to remember, I'm trying to think how many shows I did there. I did a production of Arms and the Man, which I toured, and Wuthering Heights. I think I did another one called Who Killed Santa Claus, which now brings us back to Santa Claus and Black Christmas, right?
Yeah.
It was a chestnut of an old play, and I'm using that in the most flattering terms. But yeah, I mean, I got to see a lot of the area, and I remember having my first taste of sushi in Fredericton, funnily enough.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
To remember about Fredericton.
Well, I always ask my guests if they know where Fredericton is, and it's strange some of the responses I get, because I interviewed Stephen Lack from the movie Scanners on here back in April, and his wife is from Moncton, and it just blew me away.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well, you're not at quite the edge of the world.
Yeah, well...
You really aren't. I have a friend from Labrador, so I think she actually was born in the town that's at the furthest point east in Canada. And she dated the only guy that had a car.
Well, that works.
Smart girl.
Well, I've often said the closest we have for celebrities here is the Trailer Park Boys.
Right.
When are you going to work with them?
I don't know. It's so funny that you mentioned that, because in all my messages that I forgot to collect over the summer, yours, of course, being one of them, with my apologies.
No problem.
Was now I'm blanking on his name, but you can't forget the face or the glasses.
Bubbles?
Bubbles came up on my Facebook Messenger site. So maybe he's trying to get in touch with me too. I should check my messages more often.
You know what? I've been trying to get those guys on my show for the past 2 years, and I get the same message back. Give us an example of your web page. And I'm like, I don't have a web page. I've got a YouTube site.
Right.
I sent them a list of all the interviews I've done.
Right.
And I'm like, for goodness sakes, put the weed down for 5 minutes. Come on the show.
Well, see, now, obviously, I've got, this is the 6 degrees of separation. I've obviously got, a message from Bubbles, so maybe that's what I was meant to check my messages to find the two of you and put you both together.
Maybe that is.
Maybe it is. This is, social media. This is how it works when it works in your favor.
Well, you are my 57th interview since
Wow.
since April of 2015. And I love having Canadian talent on here. As I've said, I've had Lisa Langlois on here, and her manager is also Canadian, and he sends me a lot of terrific guests.
Well, there are a lot of wonderful Canadian actors, and we do, sometimes remain a little unsung. We're working hard in the background there.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it takes someone like you to put us at the forefront and talk to us so that we are out there and we are recognized.
Yeah, I've had Leslie Donaldson on here. I've had Stefan Arngrim, and I've had Stephen Lack, of course, and Catherine Mary Stewart. I've had a bunch of great talent from Canada on here.
Oh.
Yeah.
And all of us that contribute to a cookbook called, Cafe Himbo. I know all of us contribute. I have a friend named, he'll love that I plug this. I have a friend named Joe Zazzo, who's in New York, who I met through, I think I actually met him through Leslie. And he does these series of cookbooks that he always tries. And we always try to hawk them at Christmas time because they're hilarious. But all the horror stars that he's known and interviewed donate their favorite either breakfast recipes. I think he's done a Canadian kind of cookbook where we got to tell him how to make Nanaimo bars and things like that. And he's done one that's like breakfast, dinner. Anyway, we all get to contribute. I know that Catherine Mary Stewart does that, and I think Leslie does too. And if Lisa doesn't, she should.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting? I haven't interviewed Joe Zazzo, but I do know that Adrienne King, when I had her on here from Friday the 13th, she was my second interview.
Right.
She said she contributed to it.
Yeah. He's got, I don't know how many he's got now, 5 or 6 of them. They've been coming out sort of on a yearly basis. So I'm always, being someone who likes to, I'm actually more of a baker. So I always contribute something. And I always think of him at Christmas time because he's always says, can I post it on your site so that people know to buy my cookbooks for Christmas? There, Joe, I gave you a plug.
There you go. Well, you know what? I love Black Christmas, and I'm going to tell you that came out when I would have been 2 years old because I was born in 1972.
I wasn't much older.
Not much, nope. And it's a Canadian film. Now, I didn't think a whole lot of the remake.
I haven't seen it. On the advice of people who are fans of the original Black Christmas.
Well, it had some talent behind it, but Andrea Martin returned for it, but
right.
It's just, I don't know. It was just a slasher film,
right.
Whereas Bob Clark's film was more stylized. And it's sad that he went out on Baby Geniuses, which was horrible.
Yeah. And very sad that he went out the way he did.
It was very sad, but boy, he brought us some really great stuff early in his career.
Very much so, and 2 of the most iconic, really, Christmas movies, Black Christmas and then A Christmas Story.
I had Zach Ward on here from A Christmas Story, speaking of Canadian actors. Yep, I've had him on here too, and he spoke fondly of his time playing the bully in that film.
Yeah, well, it's adorable.
Yep, but love Black Christmas, and there's just so much great imagery in that. What was it like working with Bob Clark?
Well, I always say when we talk about him now, we kind of call him Uncle Bob.
Okay.
Because he was just so delightful to be on set with. And, Bob and I and the crew, and Bert Dunk, spent a lot of time up in the attic, obviously,
yeah.
ourselves, trying to work on Claire's wonderfully long and prolonged death scene.
Okay.
Even right to the very end of the film. But he was just so jolly. He, even working on something that's maybe as psychologically dark as Black Christmas, he always made it seem like it was a party. And I particularly loved him because when we were shooting up in the attic and I was covered in a plastic bag, Bob was the one who was sitting across from me, and he had his foot on the rocker of the rocking chair, so it was he who was rocking it. It was Bob who threw the cat Claude at me, so that he was hoping that Claude would, of course, jump up and then come up and lick my face, which Claude wasn't very willing to do. Claude was a bit of a diva. Until they finally realized that they just had to spray my face with catnip, and Bob found that all very funny. But he had such a humorous way of approaching even such a dark subject as working with a dead body in a rocking chair opposite him.
Yeah, you're not in a rocking chair right now. If you are, don't have a bag on.
Now, I don't know if you know, but somebody, and maybe I'll have to send it to you if I connect with you in some kind of way that I can send you photographs. Someone at one of the horror conventions that I did, I kind of when things were slow at the table and I was kind of going, oh, well, maybe nobody recognizes me, I decided at the next horror convention I'd actually bring a plastic bag with me. And if things were slow, I'd put the plastic bag over my head, and then a lot of people would pay attention. And they'd stop and talk to me and want to take their picture. So some fan actually took a picture of me holding the cover of the DVD, where you see me with the on Black Christmas cover with the bag on my head, with me actually having a plastic bag on my head. So I'll send that to you.
Sure. Well, you're on Facebook. Do you mind if I add you?
No, not at all. I'm all over Facebook. It's a great way of communicating.
It is a wonderful way of communicating, and it allows me to plug what, like I've got a lot of my interviewees on Facebook, including Lisa and Leslie, and anytime.
Well, you find you probably have a lot of mutual friends.
Well, I got Belinda Belansky. I know you got her, and I've had her on here twice.
Yeah.
I love Belinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anytime.
And I met her at Saturday Nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on last year, and she came on here with Mary Lynn Ross this year as well, and it was just fun sitting back and listening to those two communicate with each other, and complimenting each other,
It is funny. One of the most enjoyable things I had was when Leslie and I sat down with Edwin Samuelson and did the commentary track for Curtains.
I love Curtains.
And we just cracked each other up because there were things, I don't think either of us had seen the film in quite a while. And so sitting there watching it with a live mic on both of us, when we would discover things that we had forgotten, and we were laughing hysterically. And at one point in the movie, I remember saying to her, "Oh my God, Leslie, that's my mom." My mom had somehow worked her way into getting an extra part in Curtains. I will leave it up to you. I always leave it up to people who watch the films to try and figure out who she is, which of the crazy people she is in the mental hospital.
Oh.
So that's a little bit of trivia. One of those crazy women is my mom.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll add you on Facebook, but
Okay.
Sure, I can do that. But I'm going to tell you, Black Christmas, though, did you get that part just by a standard audition?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the reason why it came to me is because I told them that I was a good swimmer and I could hold my breath for a long time.
Yeah, but you don't swim in it.
No, but I have to hold my breath for a long time.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you do. You made your point. I did not think about that. You're thinking more outside the box than me.
I think Leslie lied when she told them she was a good skater.
Well,
did she tell you the very first time she went out to actually film that, after having worked and worked and worked to learn the skating routine, she actually fell and dinged her chin?
Yeah, she mentioned that, but again, professional skaters, they're skating on flat ice, and she mentioned that out in a...
She was skating on a very nasty little lake, that had been or a pond that had been, just hosed over with lots of bumps on it. So, I give her full credit for even trying to do it.
Yeah. But did you find your scene in Black Christmas, was that difficult to do?
Well, it was, let's say it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To a degree, although, and to this day, I am like overwhelmed at how iconic that image became. Because at the time, you're just kind of thinking, oh, this is really rather strange.
Yeah.
We had to figure out ways to enable me to breathe as well as not have the bag move, because that's why holding one's breath was really good, because they actually poked like holes up into my nose so that I could breathe a bit. But my mouth, I believe, is open, and so I really did have to hold my breath. And also, when you breathe inside a plastic bag, this is all very technical stuff, don't you know? Condensation forms, and we had to figure out how to keep things cold up there so that I wouldn't, so that I would look actually dead, and not that there's a living person trying to hold her breath underneath a plastic bag. So it was uncomfortable. But as I said, Bob Clark was so much fun. And had so much sort of laughter in the room and things. I remember one time when we were shooting it, and it would have been a fairly long morning, and then all of a sudden he just said, "Oh, okay, everybody, that's lunch." And he said, "Lynn, can you just stay there?" Because we want to keep the, continuity. And and of course he thought that was very funny. And at the time, so did I. So there was a lot of laughter surrounding it. But I mean, admittedly, if you've ever tried it, which, hey, kids at home, I don't suggest that.
No.
Why they put those warnings on plastic bags, not to do that.
Maybe that was you that ended up inspiring that.
Maybe it was. But, what a way to go. I don't know that I've heard of anyone actually trying it, which is good. Because I always worry about horror films giving, people ideas of how to, off people, which is worrying. I always remember one of the most mysterious ways that never can be detected to kill someone is to stab them with an icicle.
Yeah.
Because it melts. And then they can't tell what caused the wound. So, again, kids at home, do not try this, particularly if you live in Fredericton, where I know there are very large icicles form.
Yeah, there are. I'm never a fan of our winter driving, I'll tell you that.
Oh, my God. Now, you know that the Theatre New Brunswick tour always happened, well, it seemed for me anyway, when I did it, it always happened in winter. And we had like a Volkswagen van that crowded all the actors and crew in, and we drove around, and I remember sometimes that there would be snow, like almost like driving through an ice castle, because the snow was piled up so high on either side of the road.
Yes. Well, I'm going to tell you, one of the people that I got to say one thing I felt so sad with Claire, and I always feel this when I watch the movie. I always feel so heartbroken when her dad shows up looking for her.
Yeah.
That is so heartbreaking. I know it's just a movie, but you can kind of feel that,
Yeah.
And that.
Oh, yeah. And I think both the fellow who played my dad and the woman who is a friend of mine, Martha Gibson, who plays the mother of the girl that's found in the park.
Okay.
They really are. They're very moving moments in the film. And I've been with Martha recently, and I kept saying to her, those moments really are very true and heartfelt. I mean,
especially around the holidays.
Of having a missing child is probably one of the worst things I can imagine happening to a parent.
Absolutely.
And not knowing what happened to them.
Yeah.
Just not knowing. And of course, my poor dad, Claire's poor dad, never really knows, does he?
Oh, yeah. He takes a reaction there at the end of the film, though.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
But there are some humorous moments in the film.
Oh, my gosh.
I gotta say,
yes, thanks to Margot Kidder.
I love Margot Kidder in this film. Number one, she's absolutely gorgeous, and number two, I mean, she just came right off of Brian De Palma's Sisters,
Right.
and then she goes into Black Christmas. I'm like, two terrific horror films in a row, and And Margot, there's a shot in the movie that just had me shaking my head where she's at the police, I think she's at the police, no, she's at a party, and she's actually giving alcohol to a little boy.
Oh, right. That's right.
I'm like, how drunk are you?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember whether, some of the like really hilarious things that Margot came up with in the film were Margot's idea, or were they Bob's, or were they, plotting together to just make things kind of, because they're, I guess, I don't even know what the word is. They're really oddly funny, like the turtle story.
Yep.
And you go, who came up with that? I don't know what.
Then she mentions the zebras.
The brilliance of Margot being able to play it like it was so, just a real thing that she was telling the story of, as opposed to something that was like, are you kidding? I got to tell you, the funny thing for me is a lot of times we didn't really know, and I don't know whether there was. I mean, in my memory, there was sort of an improv style to the film a bit, although, very carefully scripted by Bob, but there was sort of the leeway to explore and invent. And my favorite part was when we were all standing around listening to the first phone call, and, Bob sort of explained to us that, it was kind of blue, and, he was saying dirty things and stuff, but of course we didn't know. We were just standing there. It wasn't until I saw the film that I saw what both Nick Mancuso, now you should talk to him as well, Nick Mancuso, who does the voice of Billy, and Bob, who does some of it as well, had come up with some really, really racy stuff.
Does he have
I didn't even know what I was going, oh my God, I think I would have reacted a lot more as Claire to some of the stuff that they heard on the phone. But, when we're standing there filming it in the house, of course, we don't know what's being said. So we're just going, oh, okay, it's just dirty stuff. Dirty stuff.
I'm wondering if there's a place where I could contact him.
Oh, I can get you. I can hook you up with Nick.
Oh, perfect.
Nick's a good friend.
All right, then. I'll be more than happy to have him come on here.
Yeah. And he oftentimes does these interviews with me, and we've been out on the circuit quite a bit, pumping Black Christmas, and it's just coming out on Blu-ray as well. So
I got it.
You got it already.
I got it. Oh yeah, I do.
Cool. And one of the other things that was really I think Black Christmas was very groundbreaking in a lot of ways. I mean, certainly this sort of using the camera as the kind of killer's POV was very new at that point, and Burt Dunk had created this incredible sort of probably forerunner of the Steadicam, where he would kind of strap it to himself, and then that was him climbing up the outside of the house. That was him in the closet with me when he's the one that actually leaps out, was the cameraman.
That was a great shot, too.
Yeah, it's a great shot. But there was a lot about the film that was groundbreaking. I mean, first of all, the scene with Olivia and Keir Dullea for a film in, what are we talking about, 1974? To talk about abortion?
Yes.
I mean, that was pretty amazing.
Yes.
And, something that really, in these kind of films wasn't really brought up. And a very serious topic.
Yeah, but it broadened the characters, though, too.
Of course it did. And made it extremely real and relatable. Now, Olivia was a great thrill for me to work with, because, of course, I was a big fan of her from her performance as Juliet, because, of course, at that point, I was kind of a serious Shakespearean actress myself, and I had been working at Stratford, Ontario, and playing Shakespearean roles, and to meet Olivia Hussey, who had played Juliet in Franco Zeffirelli's movie, was pretty special for me, and she was great. She was very willing to talk about working with Zeffirelli and what the whole experience had been like for her. She was lovely, and she remains a Facebook friend.
Yeah, she's somebody I tried to reach out to, and the only contact I could find was her webpage, but there was no place to email. But what I'm thinking about doing is I might order one of her autographed pictures and send a little note along with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think she'd be a great interview. She's definitely.
Well, she's very active on Facebook.
She's on Facebook.
Mhm.
You know what? I did not know that.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, but she was wonderful in that movie, and especially towards the end there, so you can see it in her eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
She has to wait for that phone call. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like,
I thought she of everybody. I mean, she plays fear beautifully in that film.
yeah. Oh, I loved her in it. And
Yeah.
going back to Margot, though, I have to admit one of the nice conjointing jokes that was in the movie was the fellatio joke with the deputy.
Said the word on radio. I guess you can. It's not bad.
Well, we're not live, and you know what?
You could cut it out for the kids' version.
I've said worse on here before, so.
Okay. Oh well, see now I know I don't have to censor myself, I guess.
Yeah, but I liked, the reaction by John Saxon when he laughs and laughs at the deputy who played by
Doug McGrath.
Doug
who,
McGrath.
Again, I'm in contact with. Because I kind of brought him into coming on some of the horror convention or the horror get-togethers with me because he's lovely and he's never done that before. He's quite a shy fellow.
I hate to use you, but
I know. I go, Greg. I know all these people. I'm in contact with all of these people from Black Christmas, and that's funny. I think because when the film, the film has had so many different releases with like whatever the 25th anniversary and then the 40th anniversary, that it, people at like Anchor Bay and places like that have brought us all together to do commentaries or interviews for the special features section of the re-releases. So we've all sort of, and actually I think we did, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know whether it was at Fan Expo or something. Anyway, we did sort of a Black Christmas reunion.
Okay.
And I think there's, because Art Hindle comes along, and Art Hindle is a friend as well.
I did reach out to him.
What?
I did reach out to Art Hindle. I mean, he was like in the Brood, and he was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't hear back, but I usually try them 2 or 3 times, so...
Right. Well,
yeah.
Or they're like me and they don't check their messages.
That can be the case, like sometimes I wonder if people know where I'm coming from. Like, I've never had a bad interview with anybody because I keep to the topic and
right.
I don't.
Well, the other thing that's really nice about your interview is that it's very personable. It's not just like firing off a list of like, how did you do this and when you filmed that and where. Do you know what I mean? That's very sort of rudimentary kind of the regular interview questions. But I feel like you're like a friend. Like I can tell you things that are not, necessarily the standard answers that one gives to the questions one's asked.
Yeah. But, you were with some wonderful people in that. Art Hindle in that, Olivia Hussey.
Right.
And
Andrea Martin, of course.
Yeah. I was going to say, though, back to Margot Kidder, her death scene was one of the most memorable scenes in the movie with those glass swans.
Wow. And it's one of the only times in the movie that you actually see any amount of blood.
And having it conjoint with the carolers.
Yeah. See, Bob was a genius. I think Bob was pretty much of a genius.
Yeah, and Andrea Martin returned for the remake. I liked her also in Worth Winning with Mark Harmon as well.
I haven't seen this film. Oh. What about Cannibal Girls? Did you ever see that?
I didn't see that one.
Oh, you should see Cannibal Girls.
That's it. Andrea Martin's in that?
Yeah.
Is she a cannibal?
I'm not giving a spoiler. I'm not giving anything away.
Andrea Martin reduced to tears towards the end of that movie when...
Yep.
Yeah, and of course...
There's so many moments like that are so memorable in Black Christmas.
And Keira DeLay, how you say his name? Keira
DeLay. quoted by I think it was supposedly Noel Coward, who said, "Cure delay, gone tomorrow."
Yeah, and you know what? He just came off 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I know.
How odd was that?
I never actually had any scenes with him, so I didn't have any contact, or really don't have any memory of, hanging out with him, except maybe at a screening or something.
Yeah, and you had him, and John Saxon, of course, is a staple of horror films.
Oh God! And John was actually at that reunion that we had. I know it was maybe a couple of years ago now, when we did a Black Christmas reunion, and John actually came out for it, which was great. And I've done a couple of conventions with John, just sitting beside him and signing autographs. I mean, he's so loved by that community. I mean, he's awesome.
Well, he was in A Nightmare on Elm Street, and of course he was in Tenebrae, I think it was, for Dario Argento, and so you had some wonderful moments, but I gotta say that house, it's a great house.
It's a great house.
I like when the camera just crawls up from the point of view of the killer, because you get to explore the house.
Yeah. And, it was all shot there. I mean, we didn't shoot studio. We shot in that house.
Is the house still there?
It is. I think the people have finally put up a big fence, because so many people were coming and trying to take pictures of it. But, yes, it's still there. I think, and certainly you can still go and see it. I don't know whether the present owners are, fed up with having people knock on the door and say, "Is this the Black Christmas house?" But, it's still here.
It's in Toronto, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And we filmed everything right there.
You see, I guess
even we actually went up into the attic of that house and filmed in the attic of that house.
And speaking of the attic, Marion Waltman, how hilarious was she?
Isn't she great in the movie?
She's so funny. She had liquor bottles everywhere.
I know. She's hilarious in the movie.
And she had no filter when it was with the guy who played your dad.
Yeah, exactly. It's very funny.
Yeah, great casting, great mix of humor and horror, without it being over the top.
Right.
And
yeah, no, it's because the humor, as I said, kind of snuck up on you.
Yeah.
So it's as same as the killer. Wow, that's deep. Snuck up on you, just like Billy.
Billy. Oh, those creepy phone calls. That was pre-When a Stranger Calls,
Yeah. That's what I mean. See, Bob's kind of groundbreaking on a lot of the levels in that film of what he established as sort of a really the kind of terrifying horror genre of the things that actually really do terrify us. Because certainly home invasion, somebody who's actually in the house is a very scary thing. Someone who's making obscene phone calls, very scary thing. People behaving strangely without it being like a really gory or bloody or, people's body parts getting thrown all over the place and blood and gore everywhere. See, I find Black Christmas much more psychological and then in that sense frightening, because it's always what you don't see that scares you, as opposed to having all the, oh my God, she's being sawn in half.
I agree with
in
you.
front of our faces. Oh God.
Yeah, and of course the camera following, of course, Halloween and Friday the 13th would make use of that as well.
Yep.
And like Black Christmas.
You know who else I know really well?
Yeah.
Nancy Loomis. Do you know who Nancy Loomis is?
You know her personally?
Yeah, she's a dear old friend.
You know what? I know she's an artist now.
She is. Yep.
And I reached out to her last year.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear back, and I've been trying to get somebody from Halloween to come on here.
Okay, you obviously were meant to talk to me. It got I seem to have all the connections.
Well, you know what, Lynn?
Her name is Nancy Kais.
I know that. Okay. I would never want to misuse you, but you know what? If you could put me in contact, I will treat them the best.
People are really funny, and it's just a question of, I guess, contacting them through the right sources.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just don't know, or, I mean, Nancy is a terrific visual artist now. She does incredible stuff with, like, found object junk sculpture. I mean, incredible stuff.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
So, it's just, I guess, how they're approached, or because I know myself, initially, I mean, it was really Leslie Donaldson that helped me sort of get into that whole, and Nancy, too, because Nancy was the one who said to me, you should really do the kind of horror convention circuit. And she was telling me, oh, yeah, they flew me here, and I got to meet all these great fans, and it was really, really fun, and you sign autographs, and people actually, throw money at you. And I was going, what? What am I missing here? So, and Leslie was the one who, found me again probably through Facebook.
Okay.
So, those connections are made, and I think if we put our noodles together here, I mean, I'm sure that some of these people would be willing to chat.
Yeah, because I treat my guests well, like you sound very relaxed,
Oh my God, it's like so easy to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm still in touch with Lisa and Leslie, and they're not running for the hills.
No, exactly. Who else I just ran into in Toronto, who's back in Toronto, is Linda Thorson.
Linda Thorson, we're going to talk about her. Where do I have her listed down? Curtains?
Moving on to Curtains. But yeah, I just saw her at an audition, funnily enough.
There we go. You know what? I just saw Curtains for the first time this year. You know how I come to know who Leslie Donaldson is?
How?
I've been a fan of Lisa Langlois for over 30 years because she was in a movie shot in Canada called Class of 1984.
Yeah.
And I loved her as Patsy, and I was so excited when I got Lisa on my podcast. And I've been, like I said, her manager sends me clients, and he's been great too. Mike Gormley is wonderful. And through Lisa, I guess, on Facebook, there was a picture of her and Leslie Donaldson, and Leslie had put a comment on there saying, Auntie Leslie is heading to Santa Monica, or something along that line. And I'm sitting there looking at the photo saying, gee, Lisa's aunt looks awfully cute.
Yeah, well, Lisa hasn't aged at all.
Oh, they're both beautiful.
I know, not at all. But, I mean, it's so funny because we all kind of came together, and actually Lisa and I, I'm trying to remember, we came together through another mutual friend who invited me out for my birthday. I don't know whether it was last year or I think it was only last year. And he invited me out for my birthday, and he said, who's in town is Lisa Langlois. And I went, oh, that'd be fun. And I hadn't seen her in years. And then, I said to Lisa, I'm doing this other sort of little convention. I don't know where we were, Hamilton. I don't know where we were. I guess we were in Hamilton. Anyway, so she came along. And since then, we've hooked up. So it's fascinating how all these kind of people are coming back into my life after all these years. But yeah, and now I know that, Lisa has moved back here. So it's like these people they're all very, very approachable in the long run. I mean, I just think it's, sometimes people just don't realize. And I think that, we should be really, really proud of films, particularly of Black Christmas, that has been so popular and so has been rediscovered by so many people in recent years since its re-releases. And I'm very, very proud of having been part of it, being part of both those films.
Well, Leslie Donaldson is also a nice staple of Canadian horror as well, like
Birthday to Me and
Funeral Home and Deadly Eyes. The latter two of those she did with Lisa. I'm going to tell you something too that makes me really like Lisa and Leslie a lot. I did a challenge remember the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Yes.
I did one when Robin Williams passed away. There was one called Doubtfire Face that started and for suicide and depression. And it involved taking a pie in the face and nominating 3 people. And I did one, and I was nominating people that I had interviewed, and I automatically nominated Canadians, and I threw a nomination at Lisa, and she was so awesome. She responded, and she did one.
Good for her.
She did one, and it got a lot of hits on YouTube, and she had her son Pyre, and Leslie Donaldson's going to do it as well.
Well, I've always wanted to take a pie in the face. I've actually thrown them.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I got to throw a couple of pies in the face, but I've never actually received one. There you go.
Well, it's what you do is you take a pie in the face, you nominate 3 people, and it's for the Doubtfire Face, which is for suicide prevention and awareness.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you decide to do this and film it, I'll put it up on my YouTube page. And if I may ask, throw nominations out to people in the industry, because we want to get people in the industry involved.
Oh, my God. I have a lot of friends who are clowns. I mean, actual, real clowns.
Yeah.
Like, that's their gig. Yeah. Like, I don't mean they're just funny people, but they're clowns. They're clowns. There's a clown duo who actually won the Canadian Comedy Award, I think, last year, called Morrow and Jasp, and they're 2 women who do these wonderful clown shows. I think last year they were in Edinburgh. They did the Edinburgh Festival, and they've gone everywhere. And I'm such a big fan of theirs that I had seen a show, and I went up to them and I emailed them after the show, and I said, you know what? If you ever need a clown mom, I would love to play your clown mom. Anyway, literally a couple of weeks later, their names are Amy Lee and Heather Marie Annis. Anyway, Amy contacted me and said, we have a play we want you to be in, and we want you to be our mom. So I got to work with them, and we've been really close friends ever since. But I know they would do it. For sure they would do it.
Yeah.
And they're really well known across Canada.
Awesome. And of course,
we're working. I'm currently directing a production of a Christmas Carol comedy, and the fellow that we've just cast as Scrooge, his name is Jesse Buck. My husband and I did a show with him this past summer in Ottawa called The Servant of Two Masters, which was a commedia show with masks.
Okay.
Anyway, he's playing Scrooge, and he was a Cirque du Soleil clown on tour for 5 years. So
okay.
He's a really, really good clown, and he would take a pie in the face any day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you know what? You could also, if you want to, Olivia Hussey, Nancy Kies, Margot Kidder.
Yeah, well, we can see.
You know?
You never know. People surprise you. People that you think are, maybe very serious, conservative, and sort of sober, kind of, don't want to play around. Usually those are the people. Actors are always up for a challenge that's fun.
Well, you know what? I've got right now a woman who was in Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, who I had on here back in August, and she called me last week, and she wanted details on the Doubtfire Face, because she said she wants to get some of the LA cast from that movie together and do it as a group, but she wants to get the news involved. That
cool.
is, yeah.
Is it on Facebook as a site?
It is. It's called Doubtfire Face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it started when Robin Williams, of course, unfortunately left us,
Yeah.
And I've suffered from depression, not to the point of suicide, but it kind of hits you,
Oh, it really does.
Yeah. And I figured if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to nominate just anybody. I want people in the industry will get hits and people will watch those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thankful for people like Lisa and Leslie and Nancy McLaughlin there in L.A. and others that Deborah Shelton said she'll do it,
Yeah. It's good.
It is. It's pretty
good.
awesome.
And I think it's something that a lot of these people, certainly the people that I know, have a real awareness of this and really would support it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, I also, when people do it, I'll throw a donation to one of their charities. Like Lisa is involved with the Single Mom Planet, and I made a couple
Right.
donations to that. And
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And I told Leslie Donaldson when she does hers, let me know what your charity is, and I'll make a donation, and I'll say the same for you as well.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
that way
cool.
it spreads around and lots
Yeah.
of people get supported.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
Really good. It's
But
if you can spread the word in any way, if you can reach people in that way, maybe more than someone else, I think it's worth doing. I think it's very, and we're all very aware of that. We're all, very supportive of a lot of causes. So yeah, it's a great thing to do.
it's a great thing to do, and plus a pie in the face is fun to watch.
Well, and I mean, God, it's a great, hilarious thing.
Yeah, like it's much more entertaining than Ice Bucket. I mean,
It's a lot more entertaining.
I mean,
you can choose your flavor.
I'll have to send you the link when Lisa did it, because it was.
Oh,
it was,
I'd love to see that.
I'll send it to you because it's so much better than mine. Hers was perfect.
Okay.
But talking about curtains, I saw it for the first time this year,
Right.
and man, I loved it. It was just. I understand through Leslie that the production was kind of spaced, troubling on it,
Right.
getting it released, but
Yeah.
very slick looking film.
Yeah. I mean, I think the remastered version is really beautiful. For a while, there was nothing but like an awful bootleg of it kind of circulating around. But once they did the remastered version, I mean, Leslie and I were just astonished how beautiful it was and how they, excuse me, really, really made it very viable again, because the bootleg was awful and it was sort of embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled that film actually finally saw the light of day again, because
Yeah.
it was fraught. I mean, we did the initial principal photography
You're breaking up a little bit
back
there.
and reshot the ending and reshot a lot of the film, and the director took his name off it and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the director that's credited as the director is John Vernon, is Jonathan Stryker. So a lot of problems I wasn't really aware of while we were filming it. I had a great time doing it because I had played so many victims and characters that never made it to the final reel. It was, and I don't mean to be a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it was nice not to die in the first reel.
Why did the director take his name off? What was the?
I don't know. He's a friend on Facebook too.
Gee, like
Chupka. Yeah.
yeah, like
I don't
what?
know. I think there was two different ideas between the producer and he as to what they really wanted the final film to look like, and Richard was really an auteur and very, very influenced by European films and did some really, really beautiful stuff, I thought, and gorgeous camera work and stuff on the film. But I think, ultimately they wanted it to be more of a commercially viable film, so they wanted it to have, sex and gore and stuff like that, and I don't think Richard really wanted it to be that way, and I think it was one of the first big films that was thrown his way, and he's still working. I mean, he's still very, I keep seeing things that he's been working on, so I think it was maybe just the final cut of it was possibly disappointing to him and not what he had intended to actually have the film end up being. So, who knows why people don't take credit for it. But at this point, you go, it's sad because it's getting seen by people and being rediscovered, and it's sad that, his name isn't on it. And that he is not sort of stepping up and taking credit for what he did, because I think he did some really beautiful work in it, and he was a lovely man.
I loved it, and I loved
Yeah.
Leslie's scene on the lake, of course, and she
Fabulous.
Yeah, finding that doll and running off into the lake.
Oh.
I'm going to tell you, that hand over her mouth covered
Yeah.
most of her face, just her
Right.
eyes peeking out.
Oh, and talk about another iconic picture. Not like if you're talking about stills from that film, not to mention her head in the toilet.
Oh, yeah, she mentioned that. We were making a comparison joke about Jeff Bridges and the Big Lebowski, and I said, well, Jeff Bridges had his head in the toilet, too.
Well, I said to Leslie, if I'm going to put a bag on my head, I said, you should just bring a toilet seat to these little conventions and things that we do, and have people take your picture with the toilet seat over your head. We thought that was a good idea. It gets attention, draws attention to you at the shows.
It does. Well, yeah. And, of course, you worked with John Vernon, of course, who played Dean Wormer in Animal House.
Yeah.
Giving out a 0.0. Animal House?
Yeah.
Yeah, giving out double secret privations.
Yeah, well, and he was an intimidating dude.
He was an Animal House, too.
But I think he just was like an intimidating actor. Kind of look at him. Like you look at him and you're like, oh, yeah.
Did you see Animal House?
He was great. He wasn't an intimidating person.
No.
But he was an intimidating actor to work with because, he had real chops. And I was like, oh, man. And it was funny because I'd never really played somebody like comic.
Okay.
I was all very serious, kind of dramatic actress. So getting cast as a comic was very, very fun for me, very different. Yeah, so, playing the scene with John Vernon, I was like, I would have been happy to be on the Stratford stage with John Vernon, let alone, now I'm actually in a film with him. That was pretty cool for me.
And you got to work with Samantha Eggar. How cool was that?
I don't know whether it was the nature of the role, but she remained pretty aloof to us, to the ladies, to us, the young, pretty ladies.
She's remained aloof to me, too. I reached out to her on her webpage twice.
Funnily enough, when we came back to shoot the final scene in the kitchen, she was much, I don't know whether just because we actually had a scene together, because, none of us really had scenes with her. We were in the room with her, but she was, she had her kind of entourage and her people around her and stuff. So, and I was a huge fan because I loved the movie The Collector that she did when she was younger, and I just thought that movie with Terrence Stamp was like brilliant movie. So I was very much in awe of her, but she was, I will say that's a kind of kind word to say. She was aloof and we didn't really have much to do. But when we came back to shoot the film with me and the knife in the kitchen, I guess because we finally had a scene together and, a couple of years had passed, she was much more outgoing and, sort of comfortable with me. I think it was hard. I mean, she was playing a woman who, an actress who is aging in the film, and she's got all these young, nubile, young, beautiful actresses vying for the same role. I think some of what was really like on screen was kind of the feelings we all had for each other off screen.
If I might add, she kind of put me in mind of what Winona Ryder was in conjunction with Black Swan, the older woman being replaced by Natalie Portman.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I got to do a TV movie with Winona Ryder. She's very, very sweet.
Yeah.
She has such a sweet, well, I don't know what the word is, gamin personality, like really, really gentle, delicate, and yet on film she comes off really strong.
Yeah.
But she's not like that in person. It's very interesting. I did a film called, The Lois Wilson Story.
Okay.
Which is about Bill Wilson and Lois Wilson started Al-Anon. So it's about AA and her husband who was an alcoholic, and she actually and Winona is very, very strong in the film with Barry Pepper as Bill Wilson. Yeah.
And of course, you worked with Linda Thornton, who you just said you ran into, huh?
Yeah, at an audition. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I didn't even know she was here in Toronto.
Linda Thornton and Ann Ditchburn.
Ann Ditchburn, yeah. We don't know we kind of all of us have lost touch with Ann Ditchburn. I don't know. I mean, she was lovely. She was, I think, a bit intimidated that we were all actresses and she was a ballerina, and she had, it was a very new thing for her to be acting in front of a camera. She was a lovely little delicate creature. And of course, Sandy Curry, who sadly passed away. We're not really sure what happened.
Okay.
But I just heard that Sandy had passed away. I mean, actually, a few years ago now. Because I always think it would be great to do a remake of Curtains and pull us all together as now, like all the middle-aged actresses vying for a part. Because the funny thing is, generally we are. Like, if we go on auditions now, we all laugh at each other when we look at, here we all are once again, and we're all in our 50s or 60s, and we're all still auditioning for the same roles.
Yeah.
Like in Curtains. And we go, at this point, come on, flip a coin, who's got, who's most in debt with their line of credit, because any one of us could play this part.
And the sad thing is, the industry is harsh on women, especially as they get older.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we still got Meryl Streep and Judi Dench and Diane Keaton and Helen Mirren still working quite strong, but...
Well, you're talking about all my favorite ladies, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's kind of always been like that, but I thought Curtains was wonderful, and like I said, when I discovered Leslie through Lisa, it was like I looked at her credits, and it's like all these Canadian horror films that she was in, and I looked them up, and I watched them all. Loved Curtains the best out of her horror films. I just thought it was very slick, and my only complaint was Leslie wasn't in enough of it.
Yeah.
They knocked her off too quickly.
As I said, it's always hard to be one of the first ones knocked off. Because I related to that because of Black Christmas. Yeah.
And who was the actress that was involved in the dream sequence at the beginning of it? I forget her name.
Deborah Burgess.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's still around, and she's a Facebook friend.
Oh.
See, obviously, I stay in touch with people.
Boy, you're providing some opportunities for me, but it's going to...
Deborah's always been hard. As I've actually contacted her several times and said, is she interested in any of this? And she really doesn't seem to be as interested as some of the rest of us in talking about it. And or I don't know whether she... trying to think if she just sort of left the business a little bit and pursued other avenues, and so I don't know if she's really interested, but I have contacted her before and asked her if she wanted to talk to people, and I don't think she's ever followed up, but yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But I'll tell you one thing though, after you did Curtains, you got really, really serious, and you did a really serious dramatic movie called Strange Brew. Yeah. Very dramatic.
Really dramatic. Yeah. One of the highlights, and the hardest part about Strange Brew for me was trying to keep a straight face.
I bet.
And be sort of their straight man, It was a delight to work on. It was just silliness and wonderful, and the fact was I was being directed by Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis, so how bad could that be?
I admire Rick Moranis because I felt so sad to hear about his wife passing away, but what a great father that he would put his career aside and raise his kid. He didn't have an ego about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. people are, very, very surprising, Actually, Dave Thomas is on Facebook, too.
Yeah?
Rick is a little more private, definitely private.
Well, like I said, I'm not looking to exploit anybody, Like, I'm out to help people promote their work. I like to appeal to the midnight audience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, and you reach out. Some people are, and sometimes it's just, you catch them on a day they feel like talking or not.
Rick Moranis was interesting because they had the Ghostbusters remake come out this year with the girls, and I didn't think the remake was as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought all the women were funny in it.
They were, yeah.
But everybody made a cameo from the original except for Rick Moranis.
Yeah. And funnily enough, Paul Feig is one of our dear friends as well. My husband is an actor, and my husband did a movie called Ski Patrol with Paul Feig way back in the day.
1990?
Oh my God, you're amazing.
Is that the same?
In The Howling, and also in Wayne's World. That's my husband.
Who was in The Howling in Wayne's World?
Sean Sullivan.
I interviewed Belinda Belansky and Dee Wallace, both from The Howling.
Huh.
Yeah.
Sean, he's sitting right here now. He just walked in the room. What howling were you howling? Howling 6. The Freaks. That's the one he did.
Yeah.
Alligator boy.
Oh, there we go.
With the serious, crazy makeup.
There we go.
And he was Phil in Wayne's World. Their drunk friend who sits in the back while they all sing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. Ski Patrol, I remember, is that the one that had the guy that had the puppet faces on the side of his face?
Sean.
Is that the guy that just walked in?
That's my husband.
Oh, that's your husband?
Yeah.
I thought he was the funniest person in the movie.
I'll tell him that you said that.
I've forgotten what most of the movie's about, but I remember him. He was the one that had the faces stuck on the side of his faces, and he would make the impression. That's your husband?
It was called Suicide. Yeah.
I thought he was hysterical in Ski Patrol.
Well, there you go. He's sitting right next to me. I've been with Sean now for 28 years. We've been together.
So what face?
We met in a play in San Diego.
What face does he let you talk to?
A man of many faces.
Wow.
Actually, the interesting thing is I told you I was directing a Christmas Carol at the moment.
Yeah.
We're doing a little mini tour of in Ontario. And Jesse Buck, who I talked to you about, is playing Scrooge. And Sean Sullivan, my husband, who's sitting opposite me now, plays everyone else.
I'm not surprised. He had multiple roles technically in Ski Patrol.
He's a multiple personality person.
Wow. Sometime I'll have to get a one-on-one with him on here, too.
You're certainly welcome. You got the number now.
Yeah.
Call him up. He'll talk to you.
Sure.
Yeah. He's got Wayne's World and Howling 6. Back to the Future 3 he was in. He was one of the bad guys.
Well, I got to tell you, like I said, you mentioned Ski Patrol. The one thing I remember is that character.
But that's so amazing. I mean, I could say Ski Patrol to probably 100 different people, and they wouldn't know what I was talking about. But you did.
I just remember him. He'd have the two puppet faces on the side of his face, and he'd turn his head and do the voice. I remember that.
Yep.
He was the funniest one in the movie, in my opinion.
Well, Greg says you were the funniest one in the movie. Wow, he says thanks.
What was it like working with Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas in Strange Brew?
Well, they're wonderful. I mean, as I said, it's always interesting. I mean, I had such that was such. Well, I'm speechless because, funnily enough, my it's going to sound really funny. My second husband because Sean is actually my third husband. Anyway, my second husband was the director of photography on Strange Brew, who I met filming Strange Brew. His name was Stephen Poster.
Okay.
So, I mean, talk about, I know, circles within circles. So, Rick and Dave are directing the movie. I'm being photographed by, this brilliant cinematographer who's making me look so good, Stephen Poster, who I end up marrying. Crazy. I mean, my life sounds a little more exotic than I feel like it is sitting right here, right now in Toronto in the rain. But, I mean, the three of them, because Steve was very influential in, because both Dave and Rick, I don't think really had directed before. And so it was really the three of them with Steve's, exquisite eye as a cinematographer that were really directing that movie. And Steve is a very jolly kind of fellow, really nice, lovely Jewish boy from Chicago, really brilliant photographer. Anyway, the three of them, it was a bit like the Three Stooges working with them, always cracking jokes. Rick is actually much more serious than Dave. Rick had a serious side to him.
Okay.
And he actually kind of would crack the whip a little bit more than Dave. But most of the time it was just like ridiculous riot. Silliness.
Okay.
But I was, and I was being quite straight. And also, hey, I got to be, carried in the arms of Max von Sydow. I mean, my God.
The guy from The Exorcist.
Exactly.
And those, what was the one there he did for Ingmar Bergman that he was famous for?
Yeah.
One where he's playing chess. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. What's the Ingmar Bergman movie where Max von Sydow plays chess?
Seventh Seal. There you go. He's still alive too.
Yeah.
He was old when he did The Exorcist.
He was certainly old when he did Strange Brew.
And he's still going. God bless him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe he's immortal.
Maybe he is.
Now, didn't he did it recently, not that long ago. He did an interesting film.
He did something with Tom Hanks. And
yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was, but I remember seeing it. Anyway, a great, fun group of people. I got to do the underwater sequence in Hollywood. The underwater sequence was actually filmed in Esther Williams' swimming pool on the MGM lot.
Okay.
So where Esther Williams used to make all her movies, then I was thrown in that pool. And that's just a very funny scene to film, because I was like fully clothed with like leather boots and sweater and pants, and the guy who was there with me, the stunt guy, was going, like, if you find you're running out of air, just kick your foot and I'll come over it, because we were buddy breathing under the water. Oh my
and
God.
you didn't get to swim in beer?
No, we didn't get to swim in beer. Oh, you mean when we're in the tank? Oh God. See, now how can you take making that film seriously? When I think of it, yes, when we're standing in the tank with Rick and I, and I go, is it getting warmer in here? Anyway, oh my God! And if I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then after you did Heavenly Kid.
Yeah, got my SAG card.
Yeah, what was your experience like on that?
Well, again, I mean, that was because of Steve. Steve was actually the cinematographer on it, so I was working with not my husband, he wasn't my husband then, but my soon-to-be husband. That's a nice way of putting it.
Okay.
And then my boyfriend. He was my boyfriend.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll go tell you though, you did a film within the last 10 years. I don't remember you in it, but I remember seeing it, called Dreamhouse, with Daniel Craig, Naomi Watts, and Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
And Jane Alexander from All the President's Men in that.
Yeah.
What was your part in that?
Oh, God, now I can't remember his name. Who directed Dreamhouse?
Off the top of my head, I can't
Jim
remember.
Sheridan.
Oh, Jim Sheridan.
Crazy Irishman.
Did he do the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
No.
I don't think that's the same
He's
actor.
famous for My Left Foot.
Oh, My Left Foot, okay.
And was it called Coming to America? That film? Anyway, yeah. A very interesting, crazy Irish filmmaker. I mean, it was really, yeah. And, hey, Daniel Craig's not hard on the eye.
No, he's right now I think he's trying to get out of playing James Bond.
Trying to get out of playing Bond.
I don't understand.
Just take the money, Daniel.
And he was great in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo as well.
And I will tell you, here's my story from Dreamhouse.
Okay.
We did a lot of working on the script beforehand. Like, we were hired early in the process to come in and workshop the script.
Okay.
And one day I was in the hallway, and Jim Sheridan came to me, and he said, I don't know who to cast as the wife. I'm really kind of torn between Rachel Weisz and Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, Jennifer Connelly's gorgeous.
And I said, I think you should pick Rachel Weisz. And he said, why? And I said, well, I just think for that role she's a little warmer than Jennifer Connelly, as much as I think Jennifer Connelly is a wonderful, wonderful actress. Anyway, so he hires Rachel Weisz. By the end of the film,
okay,
she and Daniel Craig are a couple, and they end up getting married. So I think I'm responsible for Daniel Craig and Rachel Weisz getting together.
I gotta say, both women, beautiful. I gotta say, I've always had kind of a little crush on Jennifer Connelly, I must say.
Yeah.
And of course,
and
Naomi
Watts isn't hard on the eyes either.
No, ever since Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is, and still working strong as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and
just
really interesting roles, like out of her sort of comfort zone. What was the movie where she played? Was it? Oh God, I can't remember now. But she played sort of a either Russian or Slavic kind of. Oh, I think my phone is dying. That's not my phone dying, is it? Oh, that's my phone dying. My battery is coming out. My phone.
Oh, you got to plug it in.
Well, I've got to put it back on the cradle to do that, though.
Oh.
So, it might have to continue on a cell phone. Anyway, I can't remember the name of the film. Anyway, but yeah, a very interesting process because we all sat around, trying to, with the writer actually trying to workshop the film. And then when we got to actually shooting it, Jim Sheridan was doing all kinds of crazy things that we hadn't planned. I was only in the very first scene when Daniel Craig is leaving his job.
And Jane Alexander was in that too. She was in All the President's Men. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were in True Identity.
I was in True Identity, but you will never see me, but you can hear my voice. But I was, working with Lenny Henry.
And you were in 88, which you got to work with Catherine Isabel.
Yeah, she is awesome.
She was in Ginger Snaps.
She is fabulous.
Yeah.
And I told her she has Betty Davis eyes.
Just like the song, huh?
Yep. She is so good. And her career should really, really explode. I think she's terrific.
Well, we definitely
really
like her here.
in 88.
Yeah.
And April Mullen was a joy to work with. They're a great group, actually, the April Mullen and her gang. And, they really know what they're doing. Extremely professional and really first class set and speed and economy and talent. Really amazing young filmmakers.
Yeah.
Really watch out for them. They're going to do big stuff.
And Christopher Lloyd in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course Christopher Lloyd, who then goes back to The Future 3 with Sean.
Yeah.
See, all these wheels within wheels, circles within circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know each other somehow.
Yeah.
We all work together somewhere.
You're starting to break up a little bit there,
yeah,
but
I think my phone is dying.
Well, you know what? I'm about ready to wrap this up.
Okay. Well, this is good. And I will, send me your Facebook stuff, and we will connect. And then I can work on connecting you with all these people. But I'm sure,
Yeah. Yeah, we're starting to break up there a little bit. You still there? Okay. I'm going to press pause here. Okay, now we're back. I guess I had to hit the record button again. Okay.
technology.
Technology. You were breaking up there, and we had to get reconnected. So here we are. We're back
Right.
here, and I might have to edit that together all right, but I think that should be okay. And that happens. So it's like I said when I had Ronnie Cox on here that he had a call come in, and we ended up having to reconnect 5 minutes later. So should be any big difficulty. Before we step off, I was just wondering, do you have any charities or any upcoming events that you want to promote?
Yeah. Okay. For those of you who are in Ontario, I guess, I am directing a new version of A Christmas Carol comedy, which is written by a dear friend who is named Katie Lehman.
Okay.
It stars Sean Sullivan and Jesse Buck, and we're doing a little mini tour, and I'll tell you the cities that we're playing in. First
Okay.
of all, we are in Collingwood. I need my script here. I need my schedule to tell you. We're in, and I need my glasses to tell you. Okay. Hang on a second. We are in Collingwood at, I think it's called the Simcoe Theater, on Friday, November 25th, playing through that weekend in Collingwood. Then we move to Simcoe, and we play Simcoe from December 8th through to December 11th. Then we go to Hamilton, and we play from December 14th to December 18th. Then we go to Newmarket, and we play from December 21st, and the brand new Newmarket Theater that is opening, we play from December 21st to December 23rd. And that's how we're celebrating Christmas. And then we're off to San Diego to visit Sean's family, my in-laws in San Diego. So that's what we're up to. I am a huge lover of animals. I have 4 cats myself.
I love animals.
So if
Yep.
you're willing to, I definitely am. Well, I worked at the Humane Society as a volunteer for 4 years. That's why I ended up with 4 cats, because I seem to adopt one every year, foster one, and then not take it back. But that, or the ASPCA, I'm very fond of making sure that animals are well taken care of. And you know what? At the moment, I keep seeing these ads about the St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And I feel that seems like a very, very worthy cause as well. So, yes, anything that you can do to help rescue animals and children in need. But particularly the St. Jude's Children's Hospital, because they seem to be doing fantastic work. And also all the donations that go there help the families to be able to get hospital care for free. So none of the families are ever charged for anything that any of the medical attention that the children receive due to the donations that people give to St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll give you more details too on the Doubtfire Face Challenge too.
More details on the Doubtfire.
Yeah, if you take part in that, if you can, and this is always a suggestion, throw some nominations out to people in the industry, because yeah.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be fun to see Nick Mancuso put a pie in his face?
Well,
I like that.
well, we haven't seen his face, so.
No, but I mean, if you look at, IMDb, Nick Mancuso, he's done a lot of great films.
Yeah, I know. I'm just mentioning he was
loved-
Billy.
It was really an interesting interview.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get in touch with him. It'd be funny to see Margot Kidder do it. I don't know whether she would, though. But
I don't know whether she would or not.
I thought she was hysterical in that film.
Yeah, somehow I kind of don't see Olivia doing it, but then you're always, you could be dead wrong about people. Some people have, you might think that I was really serious and wouldn't want to do something like that, but I tell you, I'm not only will I take a pie in the face, I'm dying to hit Sean in the face with a pie as well.
All of his faces?
And you've actually thrown a pie. You did a series where you got to throw a pie in the face and get him in the face. Yeah, it was mostly whipped cream though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sean can wear his multiple faces.
I don't think you never kept your multiple faces, did you? From Ski Patrol. You don't have those masks, do you? They might be in storage in San Diego. He also, I'm really pissed that you don't, we don't think to keep things. I would have loved to have had that doll.
Yeah.
From, and I would have loved to have had the hag mask.
Yeah.
From Curtains.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But he actually, a lot of the stuff we give to his nephew, who's a fan, and he had this fabulous Wayne's World jacket, a Roots jacket, that you gave to your nephew who lives in New Jersey. And I bet you he never wore it. And we could have retired off, we sold it on eBay. We could have retired on the money we would have gotten for that Wayne's World jacket. But I still have the original. I have beer mugs from Strange Brew, and I actually have a bottle of Elsinore beer.
Okay.
From Strange Brew. So some of the things I finally figured out it was really smart to keep souvenirs from things, as opposed. I have the original script from Strange Brew. Actually, I have the original script from Curtains too.
I was joking with Leslie Donaldson. I asked her, what would be more intimidating, the woman in the hag mask or Tanya Harding coming at her?
What did she say?
Tanya Harding.
I think so. I think so. Oh, my God. That's good. See, now there's an idea for a horror film.
Yeah, I cracked her up.
Actually, you know what? It is Tanya Harding. You've just solved the mystery of who's behind the hag mask.
There you go. Well, Lynn, it's been so wonderful talking to you, and
you too, Greg.
I want to say, this I've got a lot of interviews. I'm only on here once a week, so I got a few interviews. You're number 57, and I'm about to put up number 44 this weekend. So I got a few I've got a few in front of you, so you'll have to be patient with me.
That's okay.
But when this goes up, it might not even be till January. I don't know.
Sure, no, I get it.
But when it goes up, I'll send you the link, and you can post it anywhere you want.
Thank you. I'll post it on, because I have a fan page on Facebook as well. I have all these Facebook pages. So I will send you links to all of them. So I have me, my personal one. Then I have my Lynne Griffin one that's mostly for my, obviously career and stuff. Then I actually have one that's because I have a little sort of site where I sell crafts and stuff, where I make things, particularly at Christmas time. So that's called Lynne Griffin Fine Handicrafts. So I'll send you all of that.
Sure. And eventually, this is going to go on my YouTube channel. After it leaves the CHSR site, it'll go on my YouTube channel. And usually, for my YouTube, I'll have images go along with the audio. And do I have your permission to use some headshots?
Absolutely. If you go on my, I don't know what you call it. I just call it a fan page, although I never like to call it that. The page where I post things about what I'm doing with my career.
Okay.
on Facebook. I'll send you links to all those, and you can use anything that's on there. In fact, I think I just posted the picture from the fan of me holding the cover, the DVD cover with the plastic bag over my head, and me now with the plastic bag on my head. I just posted that on Facebook.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And I would love to get an autographed picture.
Sure.
Do I just send you?
Send me an address where I can send it to.
Okay. Yeah, and I will keep in touch with you also about some of these other contacts.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it's okay with you, I would love to reach out to these people. Even your husband, I'd be happy to have him come on. Whatever one of his personalities he wants to use.
Okay.
You know, but
yes, I at the moment, I think, how many people are you playing at the moment? Did we figure out?
What do you mean?
Dozen.
Oh,
in Christmas Carol, he plays all the women as well.
Well, they did that in Monty Python, so.
He's very Monty Python-esque.
There you go.
And it's a bit like our house. We've been compared to our lifestyle is rather like the Mad Hatter's Tea Party.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you see Lisa and Leslie around, you tell them I said hello.
I will. I'll definitely see them.
Yeah, because, I'm big fans of them, and, love the fact that I'm connected with them. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm about to do a horror show in Oshawa, Ontario, the 19th and 20th of November.
Okay.
So I think Art will be there. I know Art and I are doing some Q&As, and yeah. So if I'll send you all these links so that you know where that's happening in Oshawa on the 19th and 20th.
Sure.
November.
And I could definitely advertise them on here too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one last thing, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Not at all. How do I do that?
Just say your name, and say your name in conjunction with, say, Black Christmas, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise. That's the name of my show, in New Brunswick, Canada.
Can I say Fredericton? So wait
Sure.
Python's Paradise.
Python's Paradise, the name of my show. And, yeah, you can say Fredericton, New Brunswick. Sure, why not?
Well, because I know it well.
Sure, yeah, go right ahead.
And what's the call letters of the station?
It's C as in Carl, H as in hands, S as in snake, and R as in Randall.
Okay.
It's FM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's 97.9. It's 97.9 FM.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you recording this?
I'm recording this. Yeah. I don't do them live.
This is Lynne Griffin from Black Christmas and Curtains. I've been talking to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise at CHSR FM 97.9 FM in Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Happy Black Christmas, everybody.
There we go. Well, Lynn, it's been a really big hoot to have you on here and celebrating Black Christmas. You're my first interview from it, and hopefully maybe I'll have some more through you from that movie.
You will.
That'll be awesome. And and like I said, I'll reach out to your husband here sometime here in the near future. And if Nancy Loomis or Nancy Kies wants to come on, I'd be glad to have somebody from Halloween on here. So if she's open to that, I'm open. And you know yourself, I'm very good and friendly with my guests.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So
I will hopefully be sending some people your way.
Well, you know what? Thank you for that, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
And when you do the Doubtfire Face, remember, I'll make a donation to the charity of your choice.
Okay.
I will do that and throw those nominations out to any of your fellow actors. I'm making this take off,
Yeah. Take off. That's good.
Yeah, in honor, of course, unfortunately, of Robin Williams passing. So.
Take off, eh?
Yeah, take off A.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
All righty.
Well, God bless you and thank you
And
so
you
much.
too.
Yeah, I'll keep in touch and I'll send you a friend's request.
Take care.
Happy Black Christmas.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.